Squad. Apparently, I can put my name in the thing now. Why would you tell me that while I'm recording? Podcast system. Welcome to the Bomb Squad, where we talk about underappreciated, overrated movies. Today, we're talking about a banned film. This is our banned film series. We're
Hmm.
talking about one of the most banned films of all time. We're talking about Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon from 2006. So before you find out why this movie was banned, check out this commercial. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bomb Squad. Please give a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to support our channel, other than that, the best way to do it right now is to watch our movies. We have the boxing documentary Humble Spirits. We have the Mexploitation thriller Borderland about missing cartel money. Those movies are both on Tubi. Also on Tubi and Screambox, you can watch the zombie drama, The Last Ones, and of course, The Empty Space, a cosmic horror about grief and loneliness. We hope you enjoy those movies. Tell us what you think if you do watch them. And of course, you can always follow my other YouTube page, which is my shorts page, to see some short films, or just join us here. Thank you so much again, and please keep supporting the channel. Welcome back from the commercial, guys. So, as we said, this is our banned movie series, and we'll talk about why Behind the Mask was so banned from everything in the whole world.
Yeah.
Um, but before
Yeah.
we do
Festivals,
that,
channels.
let's get into a little bit of the technical aspects. So this movie was made in 2006, as we said. I don't want to say it's rated R, but it's like, why would I say that?
Yeah.
It's directed by Scott Glosserman, who also wrote it, along with David J. Stive. It stars Nathan
Yeah.
Basil, Nathan.
Fresh
That's
basil.
your name.
Yeah.
That's the
Call it
that's
fresh.
the that's the herb, buddy. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get it together.
It's a herb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also
Change your name,
starring,
idiots.
also
It tastes
starring
like licorice.
Angela Gofols. Jeez, I thought these names would be easier. This is America.
I
I
know.
know.
And
I thought that was Alicia Witt, by the way, because she's very Alicia Witt like the Angela go
The main character.
So
yeah,
yeah,
welcome to the Bomb Squad, where we tell you who the main characters kind of look like.
Yeah.
she's also a
That's the
horror
insight you're looking
queen.
for.
So
It also stars Zelda Rubinstein in her final performance, Robert England, Freddie himself, and Scott Wilson. But we'll talk. You know Scott Wilson. He was the old man in everything. He's also the old man
Yeah.
in The Walking Dead. The one with the farm. Remember when The Walking Dead was a show that existed that people watched?
Yeah.
Anyway,
The original.
Josh, why don't you break down what this movie's about before I get into the nitty gritty of it being banned?
Before we get
um,
behind the mask.
okay,
Before we get
so
behind the map.
it is a documentary crew. I believe they're all grad students. Are like, hey, we want to follow this up and coming prominent serial killer, and he's agreed to let us like follow him around. Weirdly, kind of like Man Bites Dog, but with like more kind of supernatural metatextual elements than Man Bites Dog.
Yeah.
Or I guess
Right.
different metatextual elements,
Yeah.
but
It's like
the same
Man Bites
basic
Dog meets
premise.
Cabin in the Woods, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I was thinking
yeah.
the whole time. Yeah.
Man Bites Dog was mostly concerned about what it was trying to say about society. Rise
Yeah.
of Leslie is more concerned about what it says about film history.
Right.
But yes, so let's get into it. The reason this movie was banned is that it wasn't. I completely thought it was. Once I looked into it, we had already decided it was not banned at all.
I kept waiting
So
for it to
yeah.
get to be like just so horrifically gory
Well-
to like that it was gonna be banned, and I was like, this must have been a production
It's
thing.
pretty.
You
It's
know
good.
what?
It's good, but it's really
Yeah,
like
definitely.
You know
nothing
what?
like
I
horrific.
think it has that reputation of being banned. It came out in 2005. It debuted at like Tribeca. And it had really good reviews. It didn't come out until 2006, but when it did come out, it kind of came out like kind of muted. It wasn't. It came out straight to DVD.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of buzz behind it. It kind of became a cult classic. But even now, it's kind of hard to find. Like you can find it on Shudder because you can find every horror movie on Shudder, or Screambox, the better version of Shudder.
Yeah.
And but like the actors didn't really go on to anything. The director didn't
Right.
go. Like the director, his next most prominent thing is a documentary about Robert England, which is like, well, we know how he got that. Oh, it premiered at South by Southwest in 2006. It didn't get released until 2007. It's been this kind of hard to find film. I know for a while before Anchor Bay picked it up, it was just impossible to find. Like whatever distribution company it had was very small.
Yeah.
And so it does feel like, I mean, show of hands of how many people have seen this movie before.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Exactly.
I'd never
Yeah.
heard of
Respect
it,
you for how good it is.
nor had my wife, who has a film degree.
yeah.
So
There you go.
Looks like she's gonna have to give it back because not only was this movie shot, but it was filmed in Oregon,
Yeah.
and they even
Troutdale.
called his wife to ask her to work on it, and she said no.
Yeah.
that is true.
But-
She's like, I won't take anything for less than six figures.
She's like,
Yeah. Which is
you
fair.
want me to work with Nathan Basil? That's a herb, and then she hung up the phone.
That's,
This guy
It's
made a
really-
Wikipedia documentary that was
That's
dated
not-
upon release. Did you
Yeah.
guys see that in the
Like-
guy's Wikipedia? The director?
No,
He like made some like Wikipedia documentary, and at first like the Wikipedia guy was like, "This is great," but then it was like delayed releasing for like a few years. And by the time it came out, the guy from Wikipedia was like, "No, this is dated and horrible." And it's like, what a slap in the face.
I know.
Our poor boy.
You really hurt me.
Yeah.
But yeah, well,
That's
we've already
rough.
kind of talked about how we felt about this film. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really good film. It is
Yeah.
like, it starts off and it's the college students and they're like doing the intro to this documentary. And in this world, both Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers are real. They kind of hint as to whether they're real, as in they act like they do in the movies where they have superpowers, or are they real, just serial killers who come back every once in a while. Also,
Right.
like, this movie's very meta. Like when they talk about Michael Myers, or like, and he's come back like 4 times. And then
Yeah,
they talk
yeah.
about how they're both in LA, because for those who didn't know, both both Halloween and Freddy Krueger are off of Hollywood Boulevard. They're very
Yeah.
close. Me and William went to go look at them, and it's
Yes, we
kind of
did.
crazy that you're like in front of you're like in Haddonfield, and then you look to your left and there's just an In-N-Out burger, and you're like, this is the best.
Right.
This is the
Yeah.
best of all worlds, because I
Yeah.
get to see the
I'm
Miss
in
West,
history.
but I don't
Yeah.
have to interact with it in any way.
And someone just
Um,
lives in that house. Someone just like
Yeah,
has a life,
yeah.
just hanging
and they,
out.
and they go to sleep at like 9:45. Me and William found out, and they
Yeah.
and then
And they don't wake up
snuck-
very
when we
easily,
broke-
did they?
Yeah.
They don't like.
They don't make a lot of noise. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. But yeah, so this movie kind of starts off, and then we meet that they've agreed to meet with this serial killer. His name, well, the name he uses is Leslie Vernon, and there's like this whole mythology. But as we kind of get to know him, you realize like he's making a lot of this up. But ideally, the whole point of the film is that these serial killers, like Freddy, Michael Myers, they're kind of doing it for a reason, which we'll get into as the movie progresses.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to like learn about this and kind of how to become an urban legend. Like Leslie is claiming to be a different Leslie who like was burned in a fire, right? That was the backstory.
No, it was.
Thrown over a waterfall.
They threw him over a waterfall after they killed
Yeah.
his mother. It was something like
Yeah.
some tragedy.
It's convoluted. It's kind of hard. I watched the beginning twice, and it was still kind of hard to
It's-
follow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
Exactly what it
intentionally
is.
kind of nothing and also a mess, which
Yeah.
is kind of like fun when you find out like what they're doing. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so the main characters are kind of the journalist, the director, as always, as it should be.
Of course.
Never the composer.
Well,
Never the
depends on what it's
boom mic
about.
operator.
You ever seen Whiplash?
Yeah, that is true. The journalist played by Taylor Gentry, and her camera guys are the main kind of people. So a lot of this movie, and you can kind of see how creative this movie is, because it was filmed on a very small budget. I don't know how much the budget is. I try to look it up, but it's like those independent films, they don't tell you how much their budgets are. But
I mean,
like,
it couldn't be more than $1 million. I would even
Yeah.
guess it's probably less
I
than
would
that.
say a couple thousand even. more.
Yeah.
But they like there's a lot of like them fall, like at one point he's showing them how he stalks girls, because he like stalks these girls. He says that these killers have this plan where like they have to do all these certain things, and it's like clearly the tropes of a horror film, like she's like
Right.
he goes and he's like, oh, we're looking for groups, like I have to find this final girl and she's the one who's gonna stop me. But it's not just her. She has to have a very diverse group of friends.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta find some stoners and
Yeah,
some jocks.
it's like it has to be like the stoners and jocks, but they have to kind of all hang out together. It can't just
Yes.
be one type of person. It's
Right.
like,
Right.
you're
So you need
really like
bodies.
lampshading it, but it is like fun. I don't know.
Which is
Yeah.
funny because especially if you like if you watch like those late horror films like Freddy and Jason, Where it was like, why are these punk kids hanging out with the jock and the nerd from the school? Like, what, why
I
would they
know.
ever
Yeah,
interact?
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
you know what I like a lot too. This Nathan Basil, even though his name is a herb, I think he does a really good job. And it's very like I feel like I've seen a lot of bad horror movies, mostly at
Sure.
your house, Andrew. And I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of them make is and I think Poughkeepsie Tapes is also guilty of this. One of the reasons I didn't like
Is
it
the
is
biggest mistake they make not getting to the point?
no, it's
Oh,
just going on and on.
Bammo! You just
It's
got
droning.
Leslie.
Although he actually
that
does
herb,
drone on
baby.
too. But no,
What?
the whoever's making the movie ends up loving the killer too much, so they'll never
Right.
show them
Okay.
not being cool. Whereas, like, they're always like this cool genius who like outsmarts everyone. Whereas in this movie, within like first 5 minutes of meeting him, he's like clearly like kind of a loser who's overexcited, and he like shows them
Yeah.
like a magic trick. He's like, "Oh, you have a deck of cards? Check your left pocket," and you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
I would hate whoever did this," and it's like, yeah, because a serial killer would be this guy, you know.
Yeah.
see,
But
Like,
he
and
was
I
pretty
like
funny. I
it.
thought he was like pretty
no,
relatable. I liked
I thought
him.
he was really funny, yeah, but like
Yeah.
he's like annoying in a
Maybe not
funny movie
relatable,
way.
You know what?
Yeah.
I will say this, and there's not many people I'll say this for, but the main character, Leslie, he has Ernest energy from like the Ernest movies, where it's like
Oh,
this
for
guy
sure.
should
Like
be more
Ernest and
annoying.
Stifler. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like so
Yeah,
sincere that you don't find it as annoying as it should be, you know?
Yeah.
And
He did a
let's
really good job.
yeah, the cast in this movie is really really good, especially the
It
main
really
character.
is.
it really, yeah, it
Yeah.
really
The girl
pushes
and
it. How
yeah,
good the
they're
cast,
both
the
Even
great.
like
the Alicia Witt type.
even the final girl that they're initially stalking does a really good job, and she has like
Yeah.
to change her roles like 3 times as we continue. And I do like see, and that's another thing where everything's kind of meta, you know. They have the magic trick, and the reason he's showing them that he can do magic and he studies magic is because it's like, oh, well, how does Jason magically appear behind you? It's like
Right.
the dudes
Exactly.
literally study magic to
It's like
learn like
big
all the
Mr.
Yeah.
tricks of the
X.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
only way
and
you could
so
possibly do that if you're a killer like this in these movies.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's like always writing this line between how much of this is supernatural, how much like it really doesn't hint at the supernatural until later, but there's always like these hints of something going on that they might not
Right.
have control over. But it's also like he's so prepared. And I think it's really
Hmm.
good. And so he's showing them he's already picked out the main people. Cause like I did like that scene where he's like he's showing them some people and then they're like, oh, that's the girl you're gonna pick, and he's like, no, I already picked the girl. It'd be
Yeah.
really
I'm
bad
just
if I hadn't
showing
picked
you.
the girl already. And,
Right.
um,
And that's kind of like the first little hint of his weird personality is like when he says like I've already picked out the girl, that'd have been crazy if I wouldn't have. And then like one of the camera guys is like it's like a cooking show where like you've already baked the pie, but we're just gonna watch you
right.
bake a fake pie. And then
Yeah,
like when he says this, he's kind of trying to connect with the serial killer, but he like the killer like looks at the camera guy and like that's like the first time you kind of see him be like menacing a little bit.
Right.
And the movie
yeah. Where
kind of
he's like
drops those little things in
annoyed.
there where
Yeah,
it's like he's normal seeming, but like they do a really good job of like restraining how crazy he actually is, but like also still letting you know that
you
no,
get
he's a killer for
glimpses.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. So he's found this 17-year-old virgin that works like at a diner. And that's the girl. She has a bunch of friends. And then we kind of cut to him training for this night that he's going to do, and it's going to be like in a month. And you see him like boxing, like
Hmm.
running, and like he's not very good at any of the stuff,
Yeah,
which is funny. And then he goes to the house where this is supposedly going to take place because it's like, you know, the Myers house or like this abandoned property. And so that's the house they're going to use. And you see him like setting up like the rigging so that like he cuts branches almost all the way or like enough so if you put any
yeah,
pressure on them they'll break. And this
yeah,
way like if someone tries to go out the trees or anything they'll fall right away.
and
right.
there's like a bunch of like weapons. Like he's like, oh, I like left a bunch of weapons in the tool shed, but they're all like sabotage. Like they'll all like break
Right.
almost right away. It's
Yeah.
like so it's like oh, it's like really thinking like what's this person gonna do? This is also kind of where
Right.
it gets into the where they're almost they're like mid-textually describing. He's like, oh, and if someone like hides in like a closet, like I know they're in there, but I won't attack them in there because the closet is like the safe space. It's like the womb.
Right. The womb. Yeah.
You know, and that's where you know, like you're only truly innocent in the womb, so that's why you never kill someone in like a tells it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's kind of
Right.
funny because that is kind of true in horror movies where it's like you're briefly safe there. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
it kind of like goes into all that. It's fun.
Which is
It's
weird because that's like one of the most famous Halloween scenes is in that movie.
places to
Yeah.
and he talks about the yonic imagery as opposed to
Versus the phallic.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's like a debate that like horror movies have had about
Right,
like
right.
the alien and is it feminine, masculine? It's like, oh, it's just cool to kind of tie all that in like organically rather than just
Right.
like
Yeah.
overdoing it. You know what
And
I mean?
it's kind of cool. It kind of does the same thing that I think Man Bites Dog was trying to do, where they make it very mundane. Like whenever he's talking about this stuff, you can see how the filmmakers could get wrapped up in like, he's like they're so interested in learning how he's making these sticks look like they won't break, but you put pressure on them and they will. That they're not thinking about the implications that like the person who's gonna do that is gonna be running for their lives and is gonna die. Like
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
but it's such a good disconnect because he's just kind of working on tools, and I think it works better the fact that he's a little bit goofy because
Yeah.
it kind of makes you put your guard down, like you don't believe he's
Totally.
that much
Yeah.
of a
I
menace.
completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Like
don't
the
think
way
it's
the way they made his character is just like so pitch perfect. Like he's
Yeah,
and that's kind of what I was like talking about earlier. It's like there are little hints of his craziness, but like he is just like so kind of funny and entertaining that you're just like, okay. Well, and then also the old man. Did we already talk about that?
no, that's
No,
in
not
His
yet.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. That also adds in a lot to, I think, why you're able to kind of stick with him as a character because he has like a best friend who's like this old man who's like an old killer and he's sort of like Leslie's mentor and
who
he has
like
like this like funny wife and like he's funny and it just seems like he's like going to like talk to
Yeah.
his friend who's also like a financial like I don't know like a stockbroker or something and they just
Right.
talk about it so normally that it's like
and they
so
it,
fun.
like they don't like explain it all, but they'll hint at weird stuff where it's like it seems like his wife, who's much younger than him, was one of his victims
Yeah,
almost.
no, they heavily
Oh,
imply
that's
it.
Yeah,
that's
it's just
true.
kind of one of those like, or
Well,
like
I didn't
At
put
one
that
point
together.
he says, "Oh, and then I caught you," and then his wife says, "Yeah, you caught me." And they kind of kiss, and it's like, was this that connection?
yeah, and
For
she's just
sure,
like,
for sure.
well, it's or like they kind of do the like, oh, he's out back in his like hyperbolic chamber or whatever, and he has to like
Yeah.
be like because he's just been in like sleeping in a hyperbolic thing for like 2
Yeah,
days,
for like
and
3
it's like
days.
almost
Yeah.
the implication being like, oh, this is how the killers keep rising. They like train their bodies for it. I'm like,
Right,
To
oh,
not
right.
die.
but again,
Yeah.
they never outright like say it. They don't like go overly explanatory. They're just like, oh, like it's for you to think about. And I think that's like
Yeah,
really
Right.
it's
smart.
like why would
Yeah.
they be doing it? And see, and
Yeah.
that makes it interesting because especially about that chamber, it made me think originally that he was supposed to be like a universal horror monster because they talk about like they're like, oh, he was one of the first guys, and he's like, yeah,
Oh,
back in
like
my
how
day,
first are we talking about?
yeah, like he was like,
Yeah.
back in my day, we used to it was just one and done, see how many you could kill. But now with Michael and Freddy, they really made it into like an ongoing thing, and it's like it's funny because you think about those
Yeah.
movies from the '70s. There's not a well, there was a sequel to The Exorcist, but not really. Where it was like you go to the '80s and there was like a new Freddy almost every other year. Where it was
Right,
like that's
right.
why there's 9 Freddys and there's like
Mhm.
3 Exorcists, because of
Yeah.
the fact that it wasn't as big a deal. And so it's that kind of cool meta thing. I will say, because we've already covered it, reading the trivia, so originally, and it's vaguely implied, but it was originally more implied, the Eugene was actually supposed to be Billy from Black Christmas.
Right. I saw that too. That's kind of neat.
I
Yeah.
totally get that because they talk about like sorority houses and stuff, and that was like the first one,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah.
And he was like, I mean, Black Christmas is one of the first slasher, if not the first slasher. In
Yeah.
that, especially that used POV, it was like, if it wasn't the first slasher, it was definitely a staple in the slasher genre where
Right.
it
one
set
of
up
the
a lot
first
of the
big
Definitely
tropes
kickstarted
of
some
the
stuff. Yeah.
unknown
Yeah.
killer, the phone calls, the person getting picked off one by one. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to kind of see them get that meta with it.
And you know what I do like too, and because we haven't like talked about this yet, because a lot of the found footage stuff, because like Poughkeepsie Tapes is this, and then we watched some others, and we're going to be doing some others too that are found footage, where they cheat and they kind of do it in a way where it doesn't make sense that this is a documentary you're watching. But this one just outright cheats right away in a way to be like, don't worry about it. Like, it literally cuts from them, like, on camera setting up, like, he's basically like, he's gonna like creep out the girl he's stalking, the final girl, the waitress, like as she's like leaving work, and they're kind of like showing like, oh, here's how we're gonna do it. But
Yeah,
then
they do
it
it like
just
a planning way.
yeah, they're showing it like, oh, here's how we're filming it, but then it just cuts to what the movie would be of her like walking
Right.
out, and it like swoops down from the sky like the camera, and I'm like, oh, that's good to do, because later when like they're not using the camera at all, it doesn't feel like this completely
So
different
jarring.
movie. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh no,
Right.
we're already doing this, you're on the ride, don't like worry
Mhm.
about this being a completely different movie in the second half, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's really smart.
And so then the old couple is like, oh, you should do what's called the stinger kill, which is like the first movie kill of a horror film where it's not really
Right.
related. And so they decide to kill the librarian at the Portland library.
Yeah. I
And
think it's
me and
just
William lived in
downtown.
Portland, so we knew that place very well.
You guys
Yeah.
don't
Josh,
know
you gotta
about the
visit it. You gotta
libraries.
visit
You
in
should
Portland.
get there.
First
one
of all, I've
Yeah,
been
I
to more
bet.
libraries in
No.
Portland than you've ever been to in your life.
This is
I don't know about
Portland,
that.
not Hillsboro. So like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll
That's
get
true.
there.
I've
kind of
actually
like-
been to way more Hillsboro libraries.
You might as well be in California, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
That's
Hillsboro,
not-
like Utah. Where is that?
Yeah.
it's very
So
close to the
Gobi.
city.
It's in the Gobi.
And that's where we see Zelda. Zelda. What's her last name?
Rubenstein,
is the
Mhm.
one you've seen her. She's like the little
the
person
poltergeist. She's
from,
very
Poltergeist.
small.
She's got the voice. Yeah.
She does that. She has that like high raspy voice, and she's playing the librarian.
I was
And so it's
hoping you were
kinda
going to
cool
do the
see
voice.
her. I was, but then I was
Yeah,
like,
can
no,
you?
probably not.
Can,
No, I
can
can't.
any of us? It's
My
so
voice is
distinct.
way
No.
too deep. Yeah.
I've never practiced.
No, it's
Yeah.
not even close.
What?
I know that's why, because I can just make it high.
Who was that?
Oh, Zelda!
Hello, I'm Zelda.
Damn. Am I in the Portland, Oregon library right now?
Yeah. Holy crap. Maybe you
Oh.
have been to more than we have.
Yeah.
I'll give you that
No,
one.
but yeah, what I do like the way he leads her to the library is pretty funny, because he like leaves this like newspaper
Oh
clipping
yes.
that he's
Yeah.
photoshopped to be like great uncle Collins was like
right.
a rapist who killed like who
Killed the
savaged
girl.
the mom of Leslie Vernon, and they're like, wow, is this
Yeah.
true? He's like, no, it's not true. I just like photoshopped an old picture.
Right.
They
She's
go,
He's like, a
"Wow."
lot of things we do are CGI. It's
They
like,
go,
okay.
wow, that really looks like her, and he's like, oh, that is her. I just took a picture and made it into a guy,
Right. Yeah.
which is very funny because it's like, and that's why it's constantly going back and forth, because it's like, well, how did he, like, oh, how did he do this? Oh, he didn't. It's not that perfect. He had to make up some.
Yeah, he's
shit.
like faking a bunch
Yeah,
of
the
it.
font
Yeah.
sucks.
He's
but
like
it's
making
kind
it
of
work. It's
contextual. Yeah.
see, and I almost feel like that's better than like Cabin in the Woods, where it's all fake, but they like spell out every single thing, and like that's kind of what the movie is, where it's like
yeah,
this
it's
is
definitely more
like-
mainstream than this one.
This
for
is
sure.
more like it like kind of rolls along a little
This-
bit.
and I
better.
think
Yeah.
like, I love Cabin in the Woods. We've covered it. I
Same.
think I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, check out the
Um,
episode link here.
But I think one of the things is Cabin in the Woods is a lot more. It's more like they're really spoon feeding you a lot of the things. Where this one, like we said, it kind of like lets you decide what that means in terms of the horror movie.
Yeah, like this
Yeah,
one's like,
yeah.
oh, you might miss the joke because it's so quick, like the stuff with his mentor. But in Cabin in the Woods, they're like, no, you're gonna get the joke. we're sitting you down in
Right,
front of
right.
it and
Where,
giving
like,
you
a
a
good
presentation on the
example
joke. Yeah,
Is like kind of the even like meeting Eugene, where it's like they don't really tell us who exactly he is or the coffin. Where in Cabin in the Woods, they like will literally tell you like, oh well, this is a
Yeah.
Hellraiser one. Like
And
It
I
looks
feel like they
exactly
were
like
like kind of like make
Hellraiser.
it, like they were able to kind of like get away with like having like a bigger budget, and like a lot of like the references came from like, can you name all the monsters that we're going to
Right.
reproduce?
yeah, it's
very
more
well. Whereas this
the
one has to be
Where's
kind of more
Waldo.
like
Yeah,
cerebral.
But on
to
the
get
other
your
hand, this one
kicks.
does literally name check Freddy and Michael.
I know it's
That's
almost
true,
like
that's
it's
true.
more and less because they had no money to show it, but they're like, no, Freddy Krueger's real. He kills people in their dreams.
Right,
Yeah.
So,
right.
and I'm like that. I almost like that more just as
Well,
like
see-
a low budget concept.
And
Yeah.
they say that Freddy kills people in their sleep. But like, of course, if you're a grad student researching the Krueger crimes, you're not going to know that he was in your dreams killing you. You know, like you're gonna just assume that they died somehow.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
gonna
they
think
had a
it's like a
heart
legend.
attack
Like
or
it's kind of like a
something because
Yeah.
of
right,
how like
right.
bad
Well,
the
the
town
heart
was.
attack thing is not from Freddy Krueger. That's from the Simpsons satire of the Freddy Krueger.
Oh,
To be fair, by the
Simpsons
time of
did it first, Josh.
by the time of Freddy's Dead, our first episode of the podcast, check it
Yeah,
here.
best episode, guys.
Freddy was kind of a satire of itself.
Yeah, that's why it's great. That's why Freddy's Dead is good. Go check it out.
I love Freddy's Dead. We defend it heavily. Go
But
check that out. God, we were
but
so
so then
much
they're in
younger.
the library and they kill the librarian, and then and that's when Robert Englund comes out and he's playing like the Dr.
Mhm.
Loomis role, and he
Yeah.
kind of tells them like, no, this guy's not Leslie Vernon. He's like his name is Leslie something else. Leslie Morasco.
Mancuso.
Mancuso, yeah.
Yeah, he's just
And they're
some
like-
deadbeat from like Tucson,
Yeah, he's
Arizona.
like
Yeah.
a mental
Yeah.
patient who just
Reno.
like, decided to do this. No, from Reno, like the most
Yeah.
hilarious place to be from.
And I think
I-
that I think that Robert Englund's name is Doc Halloran, right? Which
Yes,
is that's
yeah.
from The Shining, I believe.
Right.
Is that correct? Yeah.
It's such a like, but it's not, and actually maybe it is because I've only seen like 4 of the 20 Halloween movies. It's kind of like a cool like Van Helsing Loomis. Like he's like
he's a badass. He's
he's
like
helpful.
takes the door to the
Yeah, he has like a
library.
gun and he's like cool. Yeah, and it's like
and
oh,
every
Come with me,
time,
child.
nice.
cause, he talks like "come with me, child," and every time he does anything, he's always like, like
Yeah,
he
yeah,
always looks
he's
like
like an
he's about
action
to hit you
hero.
with a
He's
stake,
cool.
even though he never has a stake.
And this is
Oh,
like
yeah, he might as
'cause-
well.
because this is like the Leslie gets really excited. He's like, oh, I have an Ahab, which is like a
Yeah.
protagonist. Although
Yeah.
I don't know if Ahab totally fits, but I know what it means. I know what they're going for. But I was like,
I'd never heard that.
was
term.
Moby Dick a horror monster? Really?
Right, right.
I guess you
And
can't
was
just
Ahab,
straight up
like,
say
really forgiven?
Loomis, but
yeah,
yeah.
but also Moby Dick was a horror. It's a horror book.
is it like horror? I guess yeah. I don't know. It's weird to think
what
about
do you
the.
think? What
Definitely
genre do you
intense.
think it would be?
But he's like,
What genre is
Adventure.
Jaws?
I guess I'm thinking like, yeah, I guess like he's almost a Lovecraftian protagonist where he's ruining his own life.
Next time
Yeah.
you're in that library, you should look at those things on the shelves. Maybe crack one of them
These
open.
volumes.
First of all, there's like 100 pages about how whales are fish in Moby Dick because they didn't know science yet. So
100
get off my
pages.
case.
100 pages. Did you stop 100 pages in? Because that's all that book is about.
Yeah.
Um,
That's-
It's like
it's
every
a, it's a
other
weird
chapter.
term. I would
Yeah.
say it's an odd Ahab is odd.
I
Unless
think
it's like the
it's-
Mastodon version.
I see an Ahab as someone obsessed with revenge who's ruining their own life, not someone like justly chasing a serial killer.
Right,
Like,
right.
for good
Well,
reasons.
yeah, but Leslie's not going to refer to the guy chasing him as justly chasing him. Duh.
Yeah,
It's
I
from
guess
Leslie's
That's
point
true.
of view.
That
So
is-
to Leslie,
Oh,
it is a
you
guy
know,
doing
okay.
it.
All right.
And he's trying to find his white whale, which would be whatever
Nice.
killer. Okay.
You've
That's a
won
good-
me over, Andrew, in this
I
one
can see
instance.
that. I can see that.
Another
buy
another
it.
win for the
I'd buy
horror
that.
master. So then they do that, and then now they're going to the house, and this is the night of. This is the night of. You've gotten to the night, and this is where the film crew immediately realizes, like, oh, people are gonna die. You probably shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing this.
Right,
Or
right.
I love too just before they come to this realization, he's like describing how he's gonna kill everyone.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, first I'll lure like this couple upstairs, then I'll lure this couple to the basement. Because he has like a
Get
clicker,
the, the
a
stoners
clicker
outside.
that like like turns off the power.
Yeah.
But in the basement, it literally just is like, oh, since we're down here, and it cuts to the girl like opening her shirt, and then
yeah.
the interviewer's like, don't you think that's a little gratuitous? And he's like,
Yeah,
hey,
I
just,
know, that
just
shot.
go with it. I was
That's
like,
so
oh,
funny.
it's so funny because that's every single horror movie or R-rated comedy would have the one shot of like,
Right. Like it would
breasts
be a
just full
point just so
screen.
it could be rated R. Yeah.
yeah, even
always
my
think
beloved
about-
Fired Up does that.
I think they do that in Commando where they just burst into someone's room and the lady's naked for no reason. They leave.
Or like
Um,
in Romeo Must Die, the movie opens with 2 women making out in a club, taking their shirts off, and there's no nudity in the rest of the movie, and those aren't
Right.
characters. You're like that you didn't need that. It could have been PG-13.
Yeah,
That was very
come on.
Yeah.
unnecessary.
but yeah, so then
Yeah, that was
they
pretty funny.
kind of decide like, hey, we don't want to be a part of this, so they go to try to save everyone, and this is where the movie loses its found footage aspect. Now
Right.
it's just a regular
Right.
film. The best kind of found footage movie where it's not restricted by it's restricted by story. And so then they're gonna go stop. And like the funniest thing is the first thing they do because this whole movie they've been talking about how they need a virgin. It has to be a virgin. That's the one because Leslie earlier in the movie explains that the virgin is capable of killing Leslie even in his plan. Like part of his plan is that the virgin can kill him or get him arrested or whatever, and so that might be his outcome after this night. Like his whole life has led to this night, and so if it ends there, he's happy with it. And so then like they're running through the room, they're trying to find the virgin, and they go into the room, and she's just going to town on the nerd, and
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
clear that she's
Yeah.
not a virgin at all.
Right. Right.
And so then they have to explain it, what's going on to them. And of course, people aren't believing them. So they'll go and they'll get murdered. And then eventually they realize, like, oh, now Leslie is counting us into his team. And so now they have to also survive the night.
Yeah.
Right, and they
They
essentially
become part of the
become
actual plan.
the new protagonists, and
Yeah.
they're almost kind of finding where like they'll try to knock things off track, but
Right.
he's thought of it and he's kind of put it back on track because he's like, oh, he's already like one of the camera guys is like, oh, I'll draw him away because if anyone gets away, his night's ruined. So he's like, he has to chase him and stuff, but
Yeah.
he still catches up to. He's a big fat
Yeah.
guy, you know. He catches up to
Yeah.
him,
He
and kills
falls
him, you know?
immediately.
And that's actually one of the more menacing scenes too, because he's like, Leslie, no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
me,
he
like
takes
you
his
know
mask
me,
off. Yeah.
yeah, and
he
he's just
takes
like
off his
staring
mask.
at him like
Yeah.
totally vacant, soulless expression, and just like, yeah, it's good.
And I think like, and I will say that this part is where they fall a little bit too many. Like one of the scenes that I didn't like that much is that they're like, oh, because he takes their sparks plugs earlier, and then he cuts all
Yeah.
their tires, and then they're like, oh, the van, we'll go to the van. They
I
didn't swipe the
know. It's
van,
just
but I
like,
was
are you
like,
okay?
you
It's
know,
like
he's gone to
obviously
the
everyone's
van,
screwed
guys.
here. Like,
Yeah, you guys should
I
just
get
try to
Yeah.
get out down the road, because then it
Yeah.
kind of ruins
Yeah.
his whole story. And then
This whole
like
sequence was kind of like where the movie fell off a little bit for me, for
I
sure.
think
Like
it
once it goes
goes
into real movie, I'm like, well,
I get
it
it,
goes on
but
a
but
little
it
too
is
long.
quick though.
Yeah.
I would say it's like the last, because
it's like
it's
the
only a
last
90
10
minute
minutes of the
movie,
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's still kind of, and she does kind of realize, she's like, oh wait, like he knew all along, because I think the interviewer is a virgin, right? Or it's
Yeah.
like she's like, I'm the virgin, like
Right.
she realizes, oh, he's like accounted for this, and it's actually me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I think part of it is that I think it just takes a little too long for the normal group to realize that they're being killed, or like they still want to do dumb things, which doesn't make as much sense now that
Yeah, like the
they're
stoners are a little too cartoonish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like
Um,
I also feel like they could have kept it being like a mockumentary. Like I think they could have tried to film them trying to save the kids, and they could have like kept it in like the same, because like once they have to do like real acting, I feel like that kind of was like, it took me out of it like a little bit
And
too
I-
much. But it's like
I
they
can
could have
see
stayed with
it.
the same style.
especially because like up until that point there's like this kind of disconnect with everyone being on camera, and I think that helps us to see how real, like it makes them feel more real. And
Yeah.
once they cut out of it, like especially like once Taylor's kind of doing the final girl stuff, like she takes off her shirt and she has like a tank top and she's like a badass now. It
Right.
kind of feels
Right.
like we're going too much into tropes, where at the first part of the film where we're like, oh, here
These
are
are
the
these things.
tropes.
Yeah.
And so like let's play with them. Where the second half, it's like, yeah, well, they're the tropes, they're doing them. Which like I wish that and that's one of the things that Cabin in the Woods does do, is once they kind of start like changing things, everything gets changed, and like everyone
Right.
has to work around it, including
Kind
the
of adjust
merman.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that works a little better in that one. But I still think like, yeah, it's not that long. And
I
we'll get
agree.
to
It doesn't
see-
ruin the movie by any
No.
means. It's just I was way more
It's-
into it at the beginning,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I think the beginning is just so refreshing that it kind
Yeah,
of
I guess
Yeah,
it
yeah.
definitely is like slightly less than the sum of its parts, but I also feel like it's good, and like it has enough momentum going that it's still
I think
really,
so too.
like,
Yeah.
I didn't
it's
want to
still
turn it off
enjoyable.
ever or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, you still want to see where
Yeah.
it goes, and
Hmm.
I don't know.
And everyone's still doing a good job,
Yeah,
Do we
it's
do we
just
go through the
more-
ending?
It's I mean that's pretty much
Um,
the ending. Everything kind of
Yeah.
works out as it planned. Go see what the plan was when you watch the movie.
And go
Yeah.
see what song do they play over the credits? Is it the most obvious one?
Yeah, that part was
Yeah,
also like
yeah.
it was also like because there's like the famous horror movie stinger. We won't tell you what it is, but they do have it. But like they're playing a very popular pop music song over it, and it's like
Yeah.
do one or the other, guys. You can't do both.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know you're owning it, you're lampshading it, but you're putting the lampshade on the lampshade at this
Right,
point,
right.
you know. But again, it was
Double
probably
shade.
made for no money, and I bet that
Mhm.
that
All
was
the money
probably a
went into that
very
song.
affordable song, you
Right,
know.
right.
Good
Like
to
Robert
know.
Englund probably had to do this for
Followed.
free. I'm sure he did this
Yeah.
just as a favor to horror in general.
Yeah, for very cheap. The same thing with
Yeah.
Zelda. I think it was, and I think that's why like I looked at like Scott Glosserman. Like I said, he hasn't really gone anything. Even the actors, which sometimes like usually the actors will at least go on to other things, but like the two
Yeah.
main leads, they don't really go on to anything, and they did. Like I said, they did a great job.
Yeah.
So I do wonder like what happened to him. Maybe it was like some of the actors I've worked with almost immediately after they went to a normal job, and it's like even if someone wanted them to be in a movie, it's hard when you got a 9 to 5 and a family and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if
It's
that's what
a
it is.
big
But
risk.
there is always talk about there being a sequel. I know for a while he wanted to do one. He always says whenever they ask him, he says he changes it based on how horror is going. But honestly, I think this movie is such a good like moment in time where it's like
Right.
everything that it mocks is kind of like it's right at the end of it. So it's
Yes. Yeah.
perfect. Where I think if they
It's
try
right
to
when we
do it
start getting
again,
meta. Yeah.
yeah, it would go like it's kind of like what happened with Scary Movie, where Scary Movie 1 is almost a carbon copy of Scream, just with jokes
Hmm.
added. And then after
Right.
that, they've
Right.
always felt a lot more disconnected and not as funny because they don't really have a foundation. They're just kind of being like, oh, remember the ring? Let's put the ring into the War of the Worlds plot, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, and
I
it
think
just
if I would have seen this before Cabin in the Woods, I would have thought Cabin in the Woods ripped this movie off.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this movie was like at
I
the
mean
beginning of like
that was
meta.
like years later, right? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Cabin in the Woods was probably like 09 or
I wouldn't put it
2010 maybe.
above Joss Whedon, frankly.
You would or would not?
I would not put it above him. Just
Yeah.
being inspired by another thing and just being like, oh, I'm gonna like develop a whole idea off this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bold claim of Joshua Epp, who doesn't represent the rest of us, that Josh Whedon stole an idea.
Oh,
not
I thought
even-
you were saying you wouldn't put this above Cabin in the Woods, but you're saying you
Oh,
would
no,
expect Joss Whedon to steal.
I don't know.
For sure.
I'd rank them similarly.
I like them both though.
Go
They're
check.
both great.
Yeah, I like them both.
Yeah.
I think they're like because
They're almost different. They're almost too different, like
more-
weirdly in execution. To
Yeah, and it's
Totally
more
compare
horror
them that
based.
way.
Like it's more in general horror, where this is very specifically slasher films.
I would compare it to Man Bites Dog in that I think this works more because I think the killer is charming, whereas in that movie I'm like, I hate this guy. This
see,
guy's
I
the
think-
worst.
And it's funny because it's easier to compare Cabin in the Woods because Cabin in the Woods is also kind of trying to talk about mainly like the horror genre and how that fits in our society and stuff, which is this one's kind of doing. Where Man
Right,
Bites
why we're
Dog is
watching
more
death.
like
It's about like the
we
media.
look at how
Yeah.
we looked at violence. You know.
Yeah. we
It's
love
also
it.
so French that you're like, there's a little disconnect here because
Oh, Man
maybe
Bites
this guy's
Dog-
really cool in France, but he just comes across as the worst. I mean,
Man Bites
Right.
Dog stars the nicest, coolest Frenchman you've ever seen.
he's not nice
Yeah.
or cool at all. He's
Trust him with
He's
your
a
Thanks,
racist
Josh. That
jerk.
was the joke. Great job, Josh. Any more of my jokes you want to explain?
I do. Just line
It's
him
the
up.
best way to let him land.
God
Line him
damn.
up like T-ball.
He's
I'll
like,
knock him
see,
out.
the chicken, it just needed to get to the other side. So the joke is
Right.
that you were expecting a funny response, but it's just a general response.
Yeah, he just
It's
has
the
to buy some
Moby
groceries.
Dick of jokes.
Do you ever
It's not a horror joke.
Do you ever think
Jokes
that,
are Josh's Ahab or his white
Like-
whale.
like why was the chicken crossing the road such a touch point? Like, was that just happening a lot when that joke was developed?
I wonder if it's just,
Honestly,
it's
good
so
question.
easy to remember. And there's so many ways you can do the punchline.
because it's slightly
Yeah.
absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like such a perfect kid's joke where it's like, look at this.
Yeah.
I will say it's cool also that this movie was filmed in Oregon. We made a lot of jokes about it, but like it gives it a different look than a lot of
Yeah.
other horror films.
But that's also like kind of has become a thing. Whereas I think a lot more stuff's become like filming in Oregon. Like that really
Yeah.
good Green Room is like famously
right. Long
super
Legs is
Oregon.
just filmed there.
Long
Final
Legs.
Destination.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I
they were
mean,
showing the forest, and I was like, "This
It's
looks
kind of a
is this what
kind of a haunted aesthetic. So
Yeah.
Yeah, a very foggy. It's like it lends itself so much to like overgrowth and like humans shouldn't be here. It's like
Right,
a
right. Like
rainforest.
yeah,
this,
it's like
Yeah,
nature's still like kind of it has
it's taken
reclaimed it.
over. Yeah.
yeah, very
But yeah, I would
folkloric.
definitely recommend this film,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
if you've
definitely.
seen horror. I mean, especially if you like, even if you have to pay for it, it's on AMC Plus or Shutter. But even if you have to rent it, it's like $3. I would
Yeah,
recommend renting it. It's a fun time, especially if you
it
see it
was
with a
worth
bunch
it
of
for
horror
sure.
fans. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah, especially if you're into like just the history of horror for sure.
Yeah.
yeah. I watched it twice in the time that I rented it. So I mean,
Really?
yeah, it's just I
It's
was
a
kind of
fun
like, yeah, I
time.
want to be. Yeah, I was watching it last night, and I was like, maybe I didn't really pay attention enough. So I was like, I'll go back and rewatch it. And I was rewatching. I was like, this is just a fun movie. Like
Yeah.
this is. There's some of
Yeah.
those. Sometimes indie movies just have like that kind of like kinetic energy that just they keep on moving,
Yeah,
and like the
you could
editing is
see
really
yourself
fun.
there almost,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
yeah,
on
and this is
set.
definitely
Yeah.
one. This is like what we were talking about at the beginning. Like I'm so surprised that none of us. Well, Andrew has, but like I had never heard of this at all, and like it's good enough that it's surprising that like no one has really talked. Like I never see this on
Yeah.
lists. I never see this on Reddit. Like
Like,
I've I never knew this movie existed until like
and
last week.
and maybe that's why I thought it was banned because of how like it fell off. It kind of feels like Trick or Treat, where it's like every Halloween everyone talks about Trick or Treat, and then it like vanishes back into into
I
like the
know,
ether,
yeah.
you
Right.
know. Um, and
Unless
so
you watch
I
this podcast and you get to see, don't you have like a pumpkin head somewhere?
yeah. Oh yeah, it's right there.
Yeah,
There he is.
yeah. That
I need a
we'll remind the
Leslie one.
audience. Yeah,
I need a Leslie one
yeah.
on
There you
him.
go.
Sam, that's his name.
Yeah, Sam Wise and
Mr. Pumpkin
Ghostface
G.
really
Yeah.
knocked it out of the park with that name, Wes Craven. Um, but yeah, check it out. We have one more film, and this one, it does match.
Yeah.
It was banned, kind of. It's also a kind
Yeah.
of.
It's
We'll do two kind of and two not kind of.
it'd be funny if
What
it
is
was,
what is a
if
banned
it
film?
was,
You know,
if it was
Yeah.
the interview starring Seth Rogen. You're like, oh
I
yeah,
know.
it was
Yeah.
banned for
that was
like
banned. Yeah.
very
The-
specific geopolitical reasons.
The
for,
true
like,
Yeah.
band filmed were the ones we met along the way. But
There we go.
but yeah, check it out. We'll see you next week on the Bomb Squad. We have a deep dive coming sooner or later.
we'll see you behind the mask.
it. Damn.
The rise of you, dear viewer.
Yeah. We didn't have to do both of them, but but cool. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Stop.